Hello. We're so back. Y'all are being like insanely kind in the comments, which is really so sweet. Because these are have like 20 views, which is already too many views than they deserve because it's literally just me talking. But yeah, y'all have been so sweet and supportive, which is really appreciated. And it makes me want to keep making these. I'd probably be making them anyway if no one watched them, just because I think it's good for my brain. Because I get to just talk to myself instead of just like writing to myself all the time. But I just wanted to make a quick video because I had made one and decided not to publish it because it was like 17 minutes long. About Tova Ditlevson, I don't know how to pronounce her name, short stories that I just finished. And I was doing this thing where, because I had just finished them, I was kind of just talking out loud when normally I would be writing about it and reflecting on it and seeing if I liked it, and if I did like it, what I liked about it. And instead of doing that, I tried just doing it in a video, just talking it out, because often that's pretty revealing and pretty telling of how you feel about something is when you talk about it without thinking too much. And it ended up taking forever. It took so long. But in that video, I was talking about what an aspect of it that I liked, which was reading. Most of it was about family dynamics, like broken homes, divorces, adopting kids, parents dying, learning to love new parents, some of them from the perspective of children. Really fascinating insights. And I was talking about how cool it is this is what's so fun about reading authors from cultures differently than yours. And people are going to hate that I'm about to say this, but culture in the UK and the US is pretty similar. Yeah, I hope that's not too controversial to say. Where you read authors and you don't get the same story, obviously, but you get a relatable story, something that makes sense to you. And reading authors from other Western cultures is really interesting, as Tova Ditlevson's stories were. But it reminded me when I was talking about it, about this book. Wow, I just kind of did the thing that I said I hated, which is I didn't show the book until 3 minutes into this video, and I'm sorry for that. But the book is called The Maverick Pig by Wang Xiaobo, and they're essays that he wrote during the Cultural Revolution in China. He was born in the 50s, I think. And these are all nonfiction, I believe. They're all essays. And it's a really insightful thing, because you could read about the history of the Cultural Revolution, what it's all about, because I certainly wasn't really taught about it much in school in America. But even if you were to research it factually, historically, you're missing kind of this link to your humanity or a human perspective. And Wang Xiaobo gives that to you. He was in the thick of it. He was relocated from where he lived to farms. A lot of these are about this forced relocation and adjusting to your environment. And they're all remarkably, what makes them so fascinating, and Wang Xiaobo is such a great writer, is that he does this thing that a lot of great writers do, which is when they experience something traumatic, like Kurt Vonnegut comes to mind with Slaughterhouse-Five, Joseph Heller and Catch-22. You take these traumatic events like World War II or the Cultural Revolution, and the writers who are born out of it and who write stories about it or reportage about it take on this satirical tone, this like black humor, irony that is so unexpected, right? You would think about books like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't comp anything to avoid feeling like I'm talking ill of it, which I'm not doing. I just think I admire it a lot when it's not so one to one, where it's this horrible event, this horrible story. It's this horrible event, and here's what I had to do to survive it. And a lot of that comes back to humor. And Wang Xiaobo is a perfect example of this, where there's a huge cultural divide for me growing up in the States and living in the UK, and him growing up in China. But humor is so transversive. It is, I think it's funny, and he thinks it's funny, and there's this through line and connection that's made. And it feels so good. It feels so cool. And I really only found the book because of this interest, I guess, in uncovering the differences and similarities in topics and the way authors write about them, where, yeah, we all write about the same things. You can read a family story about a family from the perspective of someone in Norway, the US, the UK, China, Japan, and the subject's the same and the results are all different. And so it's so worth reading widely, both in form, reading some essays as opposed to just fiction, but also reading widely in terms of culture. You mentioned some really interesting things, like he mentions chess, the book Chess by Stefan Zweig, in one of these essays, which is crazy because that's the book I made my first video about. Yeah, and those are just really beautiful moments. I'd never heard of him before I picked the book up. I just took a gamble, and it really paid off. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I think a lot of people would like it. This is, I don't know if there's really any other editions because it's obviously in translation. Maybe it's not in translation, actually. I should probably check that because there might be more accessible versions. Maybe it's not in translation. I'm not actually sure. I don't think it tells me. But this is the Penguin Archive edition for those of you who want to try and look for it. It's a small copy, fits in your pocket, especially with winter coming up. You got one of them big jackets on. You can tote this around in there. Really worth picking up. Got mine for $6, and it really paid dividends. I learned a lot. I felt really good doing it, and I felt this sense of connection that I haven't found in a lot of other books, even books I've read from my culture. So worth checking out. Incredible writer, incredible prose stylist, very funny. The Maverick Pig by Wang Xiaobo. Thanks so much.